With the announcement of General Motors restructuring plants across Canada and the United States, the knee-jerk reaction from a lot of Canadians, and certainly people on the left wing in government, is what can the government do about it? And as difficult as it is to see thousands of jobs go away, the answer is nothing. You know, when GM makes a decision like this that spans 5 properties across the border, you can't blame a politician for it. The left is trying to blame Doug Ford and Stephen Harper. The right is trying to blame Justin Trudeau. In the US, the Democrats are going to blame Donald Trump. But the fact is, GM is a private company, and it is in a changing marketplace when it comes to the automotive sector. A changing marketplace that's going to change even further, and an economy that doesn't actually have a guaranteed positive long-term forecast. So GM is going to make a decision that suits its interests and those of its shareholders. The government may not like the decision, but ultimately speaking, that's not for the government to decide. But you have a number of so-called hot takes on this that take aim at the free market, like this one from Canadian columnist Michael Coren. And even more concerningly, because this woman actually has a level of power, an NDP member of provincial parliament in Ontario, vowing that this closure of the GM plant in Oshawa will be fought. How is the government supposed to force a company against its will to stay in business? How is the government, or how could anyone rationalize that the government should even be trying this? To say to a company, no, you may want to leave, but we're going to put a gun to your head and force you to operate here. Now, I get that it's terrible. And I get that the changing marketplace that we were talking about a few moments ago is one that poses a great many challenges for many people who have had a job and who have seen a company like GM be a fixture in the community in Oshawa for close to a century. But the reality is that we cannot mandate that GM makes a different decision, nor should we. This is the free market and this is capitalism. And every dollar that GM spends above what it thinks it has to spend is money that gets passed on to the consumers who are buying GM automobiles. And I don't like this idea of pitting consumers against workers, but ultimately when a company is making a decision like the one GM is this week, that's the very dilemma. They have to balance the needs of their shareholders and the product they can deliver to their consumers against the needs of the unions that are pushing for job security and the governments that are pushing for job security, which just isn't a reality in the industry of the automotive sector today. So this is not to say we should be celebrating this. I'm not going to jump up and down and say this is the free market working and this is capitalism working, but this is how the free market works. And ultimately, if consumers are outraged about what's happening, they'll change their buying preferences. But we know it's not that easy when the products are going to market and they're going to be, by GM standards, made in the most efficient, cost-effective way possible. That is what a company does, and that is a company's obligation. A corporation or a factory, either one does not exist for charitable purposes. They exist right up until the point the business case no longer makes sense. And the government may wag its finger at GM, but the government should not in a million years go near being part of a solution, because that will only make matters worse. For the True North Initiative, I'm Andrew Lawton.